Hello everybody and welcome to Trackalicious for the West Coast Wednesday GT3 League in ACC. I'm Kuja Terekov, providing all the action for you here tonight in this late night championship we have here at Trackalicious. An absolutely fun round we have coming up. It is round 5 of 8 in the West Coast Wednesday Championship. 4 rounds, super exciting under our belts, and now we've got round 5 here at the figure of 8 track at Suzuka, located in Japan. Qualifying is just getting started, so let's head down to the track, the wet and rainy track, and see what is happening down there. Hope you are all doing well in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you joining us, hopping in, seeing the wet and slidey fun as Ross O'Connor from the Please Break T1 team in the Mustang is able to avoid the sliding number 95 of Kevin Yu, and he is showing just how slippery it is out there in these absolutely wet conditions out at Suzuka. 15 cars in the race tonight. You see those on the left. No times set on the board in this quick 10-minute qualifying session. Just under a minute, or just over a minute, I should say, under our belts here in the qualifying session. So nobody out on a hot lap yet. Just everybody getting out and familiar with the conditions, getting the tires warmed up, and getting themselves adjusted to just how wet and wild this race might be here at Suzuka tonight. Sarah Liu, a podium sitter in the championship in the Lexus, has lots of company around. Will definitely want to create a bit of a gap to cars in front and behind. Just get a little bit of breathing room. You never know what could happen, especially with the conditions being as such, with cars going off in front, and of course the spray coming off of the wheels of the drivers in front, certainly gonna be in the drivers' eyes here tonight. So that is certainly going to provide yet another challenge, especially during the racing conditions when cars are so close to each other and forced to race each other in what I should expect these conditions to carry over into the race here after the qualifying session ticks over. As we said, round 5 of this 8 race championship, going around the 3.6 mile layout of Suzuka. Sarah Liu crossing the start finish line to start a hot lap, and we will ride with the Lexus just to see how it goes. And I think, unfortunately, on the first turn, Sarah Liu has unfortunately invalidated that flying lap attempt. A little bit up the road, just finishing the S's and going through the Dunlop curve, is Chandler Williams, the number 3 Mustang, carrying a bunch of speed through the wet and wild Degner curve. Turns 1 a much more high speed than 2, and he's absolutely sent it there in the Please Break T1 Mustang. The Audi of Thiago Dinarte just up the road of Chandler Williams in the number 3, but he takes the hairpin just fine, puts the power down, and now goes through turn number 12 before entering the spoon curve of turn 13 and 14. Again, a really high speed entry, and then it slows down and the turn just breaks away from you all the way throughout the corner, all the way to the exit, where it is the run down to the world famous 130R. Of course, more recently, the radius of the corner has changed from 130 degrees to be a little bit more safer and more acclimated for the racing conditions, but nonetheless still 130R, absolutely fantastic corner, flat out in a lot of modern races or modern race cars, I should say, but in these GT3s, just requiring that slight bit of lift, especially in these wet conditions where the grip is not so strong. And Thiago Dinarte posts the time at the top, but Chandler Williams tops it with a 2-minute 10.732, but the times at the top are close, separated by 1/100th of a second. And Ross O'Connor is going to take away pole position with a 2:10.680, 500ths clear of Chandler Williams. And more times are rolling through at the end of their laps. Kevin Yu crossing the line in 5th place in the 95 Ferrari. Kyle Hirsch in the 21 McLaren behind brother Dan Hirsch, 7th and 8th for both of those brothers at the moment. Thiago Dinarte will drop to 4th. Jake Wells in 5th in the 527 McLaren. Seen him on the podium plenty of times. Jake Finn, also a podium finisher in the championship, will have a time good enough for 7th place at the moment, but with just under 5 minutes left, still has time to complete a few laps. And of course the commentator's curse comes into play as he is stopping at turn 1 and going back to the pits. Dr. Porkchop in the Chop Shop Racing Jag, the 71, rounding the final corner with a blast up to the line. How high can the Jag go? It is good enough for 10th place at the moment, a 2:15.6 from Dr. Porkchop. And there is lots of improvement going on all the way throughout the qualifying session as the drivers get more acclimated to the conditions and know really where these cars can push. Jake Wells coming up to the line in the 527 McLaren. How high can he get his sim racing machine? Will it be good enough for pole? It is good enough for pole. Neil Kerbel blasted a good time at the top, but now has moved down into second. 0.17 seconds clear of the field is Jake Wells, but there are lots of times still yet to be set behind. Ross O'Connor up to the line, not able to improve. And Neil Kerbel in the Mustang. How high can he go in the field? Currently sits in 2nd place. Can he improve and take that pole position place away from Jake Wells? The Mustang improves on the time to get within 100th, or within 700ths of a second, I should say, but not quite good enough to get pole position just yet. And further along, Chandler Williams still going around in these wet conditions through the Degner curves, trying to improve on his times. Currently 2/10 off of pole position, but has improvements, has room to improve in certain places, and I'm sure he knows the areas where he can push and find that grip in the Mustang. Dr. Porkchop going through the final 3 corners of the Casio Triangle. As turns 16, 17, and 18 here to finish it out. And very slidey on the exit. That's not going to help the top speed as he runs down to the line. How high can the Doctor go? Was able to improve on his time, but needs quite a bit of pace to try to catch up to Jake Finn in the Nissan behind. Or in the Nissan ahead, I should say. In the standings, currently in 12th is Jake Finn, and Jake Wells running up to the line again in pole position, looking to better his time and have a higher benchmark for those behind to chase. What time will Jake Wells set? Can he improve on this lap? Not quite, but still has room to go, or has time to go, I should say, as Chandler Williams improves to second, gets within 3.5 hundredths of pole position, and the times between the top 3 are absolutely minuscule. Kevin Yu coming up to the line, the Ferrari currently sitting in the top 10 in 9th place, but now dropping back to 10th. Hello, Eric. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Good to see you. Haven't chatted in a while. Hope you had a good Easter. Spent some time with the family. As Kevin Yu is able to improve on his time and furthers his position in the top 10 and moves up to 8th place. Potts Weaver behind. Oh, and having to cut the Casio triangle, and unfortunately that is going to be the session done for the number 13 McLaren, and he is going to return to the pits and get the car set up for the race. Hope all is well with you as well. It is, and things are going well. Excited to be back streaming. Had a couple of days off. No rookies this week on Mondays, and of course no Next Level Racing Championship on Sundays due to Easter, but of course all the action picking back up again this week, and we're back in the thick of it here in the wet and slidey conditions around Suzuka. Jake Finn up to the line in the Nissan. How high can the home favorite go? He goes into the top 10 to get to 7th place, about half a second off of Jake Wells at the top, who unfortunately has invalidated his lap at the top of the charts. And Thiago Dinarte goes to the line and he takes pole position by 3/10 away from Jake Wells. Chandler Williams also improves to 2nd place, but that is a blistering time from Thiago Dinarte in the Audi. 2 and a bit tenths clear of Chandler Williams, and Jake Wells is sitting in the pits and he can't do anything about it to improve that time. Daniel Hirsch in the Mercedes number 48. How high can this Mercedes go? Up to the line. Not this Mercedes, the lone Mercedes, I should say, on the grid. Daniel Hirsch up to the line, currently 13th, improving on his time with that top speed. He gets into the top 10 and slots into 9th place, and Kevin Yu is dropped back to 10th. And that is the 10-minute qualifying session complete here in the wet and slidey and dangerous conditions here. You hear the race engineer say, be wary of the curbs. Nice and slippery, of course. Don't want to go on the grass, as that'll really spin the rear wheels and absolutely easy to lose the car in a moment like that. 50-minute race lies ahead of us. At least the conditions are not dark, and it is pretty bright at a 5 p.m. Nice evening race for our drivers here at Suzuka. Pretty warm temperatures as well, but the rain playing a huge factor in the race around Suzuka here tonight. And let's remind ourselves of the starting grid. Thiago Dinarte taking pole position on his final flying lap attempt, about 2/10 clear of the field in his Please Brake T1 number 23 Audi, sitting ahead of teammate Chandler Williams in the number 3 Ford Mustang, also a member of the Please Brake T1 team, locking out the front row with Jake Wells in the 527 JWR NLR McLaren, sitting in 3rd place, taking the 2nd row of the grid here tonight, with Neil Kerbel alongside him for company in the Kerbel race program. The 395 will look to get some positions from the start and throughout the race. Ross O'Connor joining us tonight in the Please Brake T1 team as well. Thank you for joining us tonight here, Ross. The 714 will start in 5th place. Jace Wright in the lone BMW on the grid tonight. The number 24 team WRT 2024 starts in 6th place. Jake Finn will be next in the Nissan, the home representative. Nissan made in Japan, going around the track in Japan of Suzuka. The Please Brake T1 team being heavily represented here tonight. The number 43 Nissan will start in 7th place with another home favorite, the Lexus, another Japanese manufacturer in their home race here tonight in the Myonex Lexus. The number 310, the two Japanese cars lining up alongside each other on the grid here tonight, with Daniel Hirsch just off behind them in 9th place in the 48 AMG Mercedes. Lots of fun liveries on the grid here tonight. Absolutely fun looking cartoons there on the side of Daniel Hirsch's Mercedes, with Kevin Yu in the number 95 for Ferrari rounding out the top 10. Professor Chronotis in the 42 Blue Shell Ferrari will certainly try to get up to that top position in the Blue Shell, but hopefully not take out the leader as the formation lap gets started here. The number 42 will line up just outside the top 10 in 11th place. Potts Weaver in 12th in the number 13 McLaren. The number almost matches the position, but he was able to better that in the defragmented McLaren. Nonetheless, very fun livery created by Eric, being represented by Potts. Fellow McLaren of Kyle Hirsch, the Dive Bombers, the number 21 will line up next to the fellow McLaren in front in 13th place. Dr. Porkchop in the number 71 Chop Shop Racing Jag will start from 14th place, and Buggy Watt in the 410. Last but not least, the Bleached Buggy will start from 15th on the grid here tonight. The helicopter cam not really showing what the spray is like from the driver's perspective, but I can assure you it is not a pleasant place to sit with so many cars around you on track, spraying up all of the water on the track, on the racing surface, into the eyes of the drivers. Let's take a look on board and see what Neil Kerbel is looking at through his windshield. At the moment, it's not too bad, but you can barely see the brake lights of the car in front, and they are crawling around, especially during the formation lap. And at racing speeds, it should get even more challenging, but these are some absolutely fantastic drivers we have tonight. So hopefully they will provide us with some close and epic side-by-side action around the figure of 8 layout of Suzuka. Lots of overtaking opportunities, especially to go side by side through the S's. A good place for cars to maintain position as the apex shifts from left to right to left, where cars can certainly get an advantage if they have good grip in the tires and a good speed advantage as well. The spoon curve where the drivers are approaching now, also a good overspeed advantage opportunity where you get a good run out of the exit, approaching 130R and trying to line up a move into that super high speed left-hand corner at the end of this pseudo straight that crosses the track after the Degners, and right before the apex of 130R is where that crossover point is. You can kind of see it there on the right-hand side where the track map is displayed. An absolutely fun configuration, the figure of 8 layout at Suzuka. Really one of a kind thing. You don't really see it anywhere else in the world, especially that hosts F1 and other world famous events. And now the drivers will line up in zipper formation, as Eric likes to call it, towards the end of the formation lap, and then the green light will go and we will begin our 50-minute race. Just the Casio triangle left. Another good overtaking opportunity, a good heavy braking zone after 130R, and you really want to nail it if you get a move lined up there. And now they will round the final corner, get everything prepared for the blast to turn 1 after the green flag waves to release the 15-car grid here tonight in round 5 of the West Coast Wednesday GT3 Championship.
Green light, give it all you can.
And the green light releases them all. A good start from Tiago, able to cover it off. Jake Wells comfortably sits in third, and a great start from Ross O'Connor through the inside. Is he going to take third away from Jake Wells? He is. A great sweeping move. He took Neil Kerbel's position of fourth from the start, and then he took third away from Jake Wells with a great move to the inside. Thank you for the follow there. Apologies for missing it at the moment with race just getting started. Jake Wells dropping back to fourth place, unfortunately, from the start. And same with Neil Kerbel losing a position, but Ross O'Connor getting a fantastic getaway from the start of the race. Sarah Liu as well finding herself on the back of Jace Wright. And this battle will really continue on. Sarah Liu moving up into 7th. Jake Finn dropping back to 8th. The two Japanese manufacturers swapping positions from the start there as they head down to the hairpin for the first time. Sarah Liu having a little bit of a look down the inside. And there's a tap from Jace Wright on the back of Neil Kerbel. Oh, NASCAR, thank you for rating. Much appreciate the love and support. Hope your stream went well tonight. Thanks for joining us here in round 5 of this wet and wild Suzuka race. Oh, Kevin Yu going really deep on the brakes, almost taking out the back of Jake Finn, but nonetheless able to keep it all under control and not taking out any of the fellow competitors. Pretty smooth getaway from everybody. No yellow flag incidents that I've seen. And thank you for following as well. And there's a side-by-side action. Neil Kerbel going through 130R. Is he going to take the position going into the Casio Triangle? He has the inside. He went a little bit wide on the exit and really cuts the first part of the corner, but Jake Wells covers it off, and he is going to maintain 4th place. Neil Kerbel almost getting the move done through 130R, and Sarah Liu has a really good run behind on Jace Wright. He's already taking the defensive line, wants the inside of turn 1. There's 2 side-by-side battles going on. What is going to happen here? Neil Kerbel sweeps to the inside, takes it away from Jake Wells, and Jace Wright able to hold his own and will maintain 6th place from Sarah Liu. But Neil Kerbel with a great move to the inside, lined it up out of the Casio Triangle down the start-finish straight. And now the battle will continue, though. Jake Wells not going to give it up easy. We know he's got fantastic race pace, and Jace Wright as well was looking to capitalize on any opportunities. Sarah Liu and Jake Finn likely hoping to do the same, as the field is really bunched up all the way from 1st down to 12th place. Take a quick sip of water here as the action continues on. So much has happened so far, and so much is still yet to come. Chandler Williams is right on the back of Tiago Dinarte for the lead of the race, and Jake Wells trying to get a good exit out of the hairpin. Going to try to line up Neil Kerbel for a move into the spoon curve. Let's see, he's just not close enough, I don't think, on this run to quite do it yet. And Tiago Dinarte still in the lead of the race. A little bit of a wiggle on the exit there, running onto the curbs. And he has Chandler Williams for company right behind him. The rear view from the Audi. Chandler Williams is having a look down the inside, but he thinks the better of it and just backs off. But he might be lining up a braking maneuver here into the Casio Triangle. Does he line up a move? Not quite yet. Tiago Dinarte still holding on to the lead. Nothing separating these two drivers. They're nearly bumper to bumper, exiting the final chicane, going around the final corner to the line. The top speed of the Mustang should be really evident here, as things remain the same in the top 10. At the back, he's shaping up a move into turn 1 is Chandler Williams. Tiago Dinarte not biting, but he runs a little bit wide, and now side by side through turn 2, and now a bit of a bump from Chandler Williams on Tiago Dinarte. Is he going to take the position? Tiago Dinarte still doesn't want to give it up, takes the inside through turn 3 and maintains the lead of the race. And this is all of this battling is bringing in Ross O'Connor, who is looking to sniff at any opportunity ahead. Should the Audi and the Ford of Chandler Williams in front present any sort of move. Ross O'Connor will certainly look to capitalize on that like he did from the race start. Neil Kerbel with the fastest lap of the race, showing that he has pace in the 395 Mustang, will also look to get on the battle for the podium with Thiago Dinarte, Chandler Williams, and Ross O'Connor. Kevin, you up a position from starting in 10th up to 9th with Professor Chronotis as well. The two Ferraris still out on track together, the 95 followed by the 42. Not quite close enough between these two drivers yet to make a move, and Daniel Hirsch has dropped a few places from the start and is now just outside the top 10 in 11th place, with brother Kyle Hirsch not too far off in the 21 McLaren behind. Oh, and there's a bit of contact between Buggy Watt and Dr. Porkchop. Let's see if we can take a look what happened. Oh, and Porkchop was lining up a move down the inside, but then he thought the better of it, and unfortunately, after sweeping to the right, taking out the bumper of Buggy Watt, and that's causing him to spin at the first part of the spoon curve, and Pottsweeper really benefiting from that, taking both of those positions away and sliding himself up into 13th place. But Chandler Williams in second place. Neil Kerbel really looking to gain on this battle as Jace Wright is right on the tail of Jake Wells for a position in the top 5. And the battle will continue through the S's BMW versus McLaren. Two very different car configurations. The front engine inline 6 of the BMW versus the mid-engined configuration of the McLaren, but still a very equally matched here in the race, with Jake Wells holding on to 5th position from Jace Wright, who started the race in 6th and has not quite been able to move up the grid just yet, but will certainly look to pounce on any opportunity that is presented his way. Sarah Liu just dropping off a little bit from this battle, just outside of a second from Jace Wright. Oh, and he dips the wheel into the gravel. Don't want to do that too much there, as that'll really cause some trouble with oversteer. My goodness, he really got away with it there, I think. Unless that is just his usual racing line. In which case, all credit to him for trying to carry as much speed as possible through that corner, especially in these torrential wet conditions at Suzuka here. Oh, and an oversteer moment through 130R. He's able to save it. Fantastic save from Jace Wright. Let's take a look at that again. Oh, the camera can't keep up with it. Oh, we tried. We just caught the tail end of it. But man, that was great to see. He still was able to carry all of the speed he needed as Neil Kerbel takes away from the racing line to cool those wet tires down, to give him as much grip as possible as they approach the start of another lap. Jake Finn doing the same in the background there in the Nissan. This is what the wing of the leader is seeing. The bumper of Chandler Williams getting closer and closer to the rear bumper of Thiago Dinarte. It's Audi versus 3 Fords for the fight of the podiums, with Thiago Dinarte leading the field, Chandler Williams in second, Ross O'Connor is in third after a good start. Sees him gain a few places to get into the podium positions. Neil Kerbel's in 4th, Jake Wells in 5th, Jace Wright is in 6th, Sarah Liu in 7th, Jake Finn in 8th, Kevin Yu in 9th, Dan Hirsch making up a position, getting back into the top 10. That unfortunately is going to drop Chronotis in the 42 Ferrari to 11th. Kyle Hirsch is in 12th, Pottsweeper in 13th, Dr. Porkchop in 14th, and Buggy Watt is in 15th. And that is the grid of the race so far. Battle for the final position in the top 10. Professor Chronotis trying to get that position back. He is in a Hirsch sandwich, the 48 Mercedes and the 21 McLaren. Dan Hirsch and Kyle Hirsch respectively in finding themselves being the buns of this Professor Chronotis sandwich at the moment. The Ferrari looking to capitalize on the position that he just lost ahead, but also not trying to give up the place to the speedy Kyle Hirsch behind. That McLaren was able to carry a lot of speed as the Professor takes a bumpy ride, goes into the grass before the entry of 130R, and that was certainly a wild ride from the inside as well. Oh, and Chandler Williams has taken the lead of the race, and there's a battle for second. Ross O'Connor to the inside, and Neil Kerbel is going to try to do the same. The three Mustangs find a way past the Audis, or is the Audi going to fight back? It is into turn 3. The 23 is not going to give up the final podium position that easily. And that is unfortunately 2 positions lost for Thiago Dinarte. The 2 Fords, Chandler Williams and Ross O'Connor, able to get those positions as there's a yellow flag for the 410 at the Casio Triangle. But Thiago Dinarte in the 23 unfortunately dropping a few places, but Chandler Williams now in the lead of the race in the number 3 Mustang, leading from Ross O'Connor with a great start in the opening 12 minutes of the race so far, moving his 714 Mustang into second place. Thiago Dinarte is in third after dropping to the 2 Mustangs, nearly made it 3. Neil Kerbel trying to take advantage, sticking a nose up the inside of turn 1, but Thiago Dinarte was having none of it and took the position back into turn number 3. Thank you for the update, Tyler. Much appreciated. Thiago Dinarte still battling many Mustangs. The Ross O'Connor Mustang in front and the Mustang of Neil Kerbel behind. But Chandler Williams now in the lead with the fastest lap of the race. Clean air in front. That'll really help the visibility aspect for certain. And now looking to try to build a gap over the Please Brake T1 teammate of Ross O'Connor behind and Thiago Dinarte. Neil Kerbel still in the mix, looking to get that position and find the final podium position if he can get by the Audi. But I don't think he's just quite close enough yet on this run to do it. Thiago Dinarte covering the inside very well, taking his usual racing line, is absolutely unfazed by what the Mustang is doing behind. And now Neil Kerbel going through the S's, still as close as he was going into turn 1. Now going through the uphill Dunlop curve before the speedy Degners, the 2 right-hand corners that enter the underpass of the figure 8. We see them entering it now, the Bridgestone banner going across the bridge / overpass or tunnel underpass, whatever you want to call it. That is where our top 5 are at the moment, exiting the hairpin of turn 11, going through the sweeping corner of turn 12. Down the hill they go into Spoon Curve. Very difficult corner to get right. Very fast on the entry of the first part before braking again for the second part. And of course that camber is breaking away from you like we mentioned in the qualifying session. A very tricky corner to get the power down, and the wet is adding another element, or another challenging element to that, I should say. Then the run up the hill to 130R, the very fast left-hand corner, just a slight lift before the heavy braking zone of the Casio Triangle. Very good overtaking opportunity if Neil Kerbel found himself just a little bit closer to the Audi to try to send a move up the inside, but not quite close enough to do it on this lap. And exiting turn 18 for a blast down the start-finish straight to start another lap here. 7 laps completed so far, about 15 minutes into the race. 35 still to go. And of course, there is that mandatory pit stop as well. It is a 25-second fixed fuel timer restop or pit stop. And then the drivers have the option of adding another 5 seconds to that pit stop timer to take on fresh tires if they so choose so. And that is, of course, the driver's decision to make in the car, whether they want to take fresh tires if they feel like their wets are wearing more than they would like, and they have to make that decision in the pit stop. Of course, it is also up to the drivers to decide how much fuel they want to run with at the beginning of the race as well. And that will ultimately decide when they want to enter the pits as well. Sorry, folks, just looking at a few numbers here. Gaps opening up all around. Ross O'Connor still pretty close to the tail of Chandler Williams in front, and Thiago Dinarte is not making life easy for him at all, staying close to the bumper of second place, still holding on to that final podium position as Ross O'Connor now holds the fastest lap of the race, just a few hundredths quicker than Chandler Williams. And I agree, Eric, this top 6 battle is crazy. Any little mistake, any little wiggle, especially, is super easy to do in these wet conditions with the fast corners, lots of sweeping corners as well, changing corners in the S's, left, lots of left rights. Very easy to lose the car when the car is changing direction, and especially an added challenge to those with the mid-engine. And like we mentioned here, Ross O'Connor running a little bit wide of turn 1, but Thiago Dinarte isn't quite close enough to take advantage of that. The top speed of the Mustangs was able to help the top 2 run away from this battle for third place, and Thiago Dinarte is just hoping he can stay close through the twisty and turny bits of Suzuka to get close to the battle for second and first place, while also not allowing Neil Kerbel in the 395 Mustang to get close as well. Jake Wells dropping back just a little bit, 1.5 seconds now back from Neil Kerbel, and Jace Wright doing the same, perhaps just not able to stay that close for the majority of the stint, just having to drop back a little bit, cool the car down, and maybe just find that pace and reset. And Jake Finn is getting close to the tail of Sarah Liu in the battle for 7th place. Professor Chronotis also very close to Daniel Hirsch in the battle for the final top 10 position. Can the Professor craft a move into the spoon curve? He tried to in the hairpin, but he just didn't quite have the side-by-side advantage that he needed to get that move done. And we'll have to try and do it on a different corner here, as it looks like Daniel Hirsch in that Mercedes has a good turn-in speed advantage through the spoon curve. And now the Ferrari, the 42, dropping back a little bit in the approach to 130R. And Tyler redeemed a hydrate. Sorry I missed that earlier. Cheers to that. Drink some tea here. Gotta keep ourselves hydrated. Gotta keep the voice alive for all the action that's gonna happen. We're just 20 minutes into the race. So much has happened, especially in the changes in the top 5. Absolutely great start from Ross O'Connor, qualifying in 5th place and now is in 2nd, and still very close to the tail of Chandler Williams, but this battle is absolutely bumper to bumper now between Chronotis and Hirsch going into the first corner. Especially we saw that good advantage for the Ferrari, but now the Mercedes is able to pull away. And let's ride on board with the Ferrari and see what the driver has for his to deal with on the windshield, and the spray coming off of Daniel Hirsch in front, sliding through the Dunlop curve. Very difficult to get the power down, and they are absolutely battling it out for this final position in the top 10. Running a little bit wide is Daniel Hirsch in the Mercedes in front. The Professor not close enough to capitalize. Very good in the brakes, though the Ferrari is getting absolutely close in all of the braking zones, but then the Mercedes just has the power and has the grip to run away where it matters, in or during acceleration, I should say, and is just not letting the Professor get close enough to shape up any sort of moves into the braking zones just yet. Absolutely epic wet weather racing here. Neil Kerbel, the 395 Mustang, just not quite close enough again to the Audi of Thiago Dinarte. The Please Brake T1 teammates have a podium lockout once again in the West Coast Wednesday Championship. We saw it, I believe, at Indianapolis. Or no, not Indianapolis. Was it last time out at Zolder? Might have been. We'll have to look back and check. But nonetheless, we've seen a Please Brake T1 podium lockout before, and they are lining up to do the same here with Chandler Williams, Ross O'Connor, and Thiago Dinarte occupying those top 3 positions. Neil Kerbel, though, is certainly going to try to change that. The 395 is looking really racy. He did have the fastest lap at one point during the race, but now the top 2 are kind of battling it out for that top pace position at the moment. But any little mistake will bring these drivers into the mix, all the way from Thiago Dinarte to Sarah Liu, and maybe even Jake Finn and Kevin Yu can benefit, as there's a bit of a slide into the corner from Thiago Dinarte, and not quite, no, or at least I should say the car behind not quite close enough to take advantage of that opportunity, and neither is any car in front. And the 43, that's Jake Finn, unfortunately, with a yellow flag. That is in the hairpin. Then Professor Chronotis and Daniel Hirsch getting through. That's going to drop Jake Finn into 11th place. Daniel Hirsch and Professor Chronotis now both in the top 10. And Jake Finn will certainly look to make amends after that mistake and get himself back into the top 10 with the battling Dan Hirsch and Professor Chronotis in front, separated by pretty much nothing once again, going down the back section of the track to the approach to 130R. And Chandler Williams will dive into the pits. Thiago Dinarte will do the same. That will give Ross O'Connor the lead of the race. And now he has some clean air in front to set some blistering laps. Professor Chronotis dives into the pits last moment. Jake Finn does the same behind. Oh, and he slides into the pit limiter line. I'm not sure if he tapped the wall there. May have with the front right bumper, but nonetheless escaping any more chaos than he needed to. And now there is a bunch of action in the pits. Potts Weaver dives into the pits as well, and we will see just what happens here during these pit stops. Just have to wait and see. Ross O'Connor, though, now in the lead of the race. The Please Brake T1 714 has Neil Kerbel for company behind, Jake Wells and Jace Wright in the top 4. Sarah Liu in 5th, Kevin Yu in 6th, Daniel Hirsch in 7th. place, and those are the drivers that have yet to stop. Dr. Porkchop as well, crossing the line, not choosing to do it, oh my goodness, to go into the pits on this lap, as pretty much the halfway mark is reached. Oh, and there's a drive-through for speeding, unfortunately for Jake Finn, not able to slow it down on the entry like we saw, hitting the wall there, and that is very unfortunate for the Nissan. And oh man, after that incident in the hairpin as well, that is certainly not going to help his chances of getting back in the top 10. Ross O'Connor really struggling with the grip now as he goes into the pits. Neil Kerbel staying out. He's going to take the lead of the race now. The Mustangs all swapping positions. Neil Kerbel, the 395 Kerbel race program, takes P1 after Ross O'Connor goes into the pits, and it'll be absolutely fascinating to see where Ross O'Connor comes out relative to Chandler Williams. Oh, and Jake Wells getting really oversteery on the exit there. Chandler Williams and Tiago Dinarte in the lead of those who have completed their pit stops. 1.5 seconds the gap between 8th and 9th place on track at the moment, but everybody ahead of them still yet to complete their pit stops. So let's just wait and see what happens in the closing half of this 50-minute race. The number 3 and the number 23 are going down the final, or the main straight, I should say, approaching the start-finish line. The 714 of Ross O'Connor exiting the pits, and Tiago Dinarte is going to complete the undercut and take second place back from Ross O'Connor. The Audi sliding back, or not sliding, getting themselves back into second place after the pit stops. We did see Ross O'Connor getting a little bit slidey, and he did have a slightly longer pit stop than Tiago Dinarte and Chandler Williams as well. So all that work needs to be done again for the 714 to try to get back onto the second step of the podium here. Jake Wells currently on track in second place, still yet to complete a pit stop though. Everybody in the top 6 electing to stay out and go a little bit longer. And Dr. Porkchop in the pits on this lap. Jace Wright dives into the pits from 3rd on track. We'll see where he comes out relative to Ross O'Connor, and Professor Chronotis might try to get that undercut attempt on Jake Wells as well, with stopping a little bit early. He might give himself that tire advantage for 1 lap pace to try to get the position from the McLaren driver here of Jake Wells. Tyler giving Neil Kerbel some energy here in the race, in the chat. The support for the Kerbel race program is immense here tonight. Currently out in the lead after completing 13 laps. This will be lap 14 that he's on at the moment. Not quite going as wide to maximize the entry into the hairpin as you would see during a dry racing line, but the wet absolutely changes everything, especially around Suzuka, where each corner really feeds into the next, and if you don't get one right, you might have a pretty bad sector with having missed one apex. You have to adjust your car and get yourself ready for the next one, and if you don't adjust it correctly for the next one, it throws that one off, and then the chain continues on and on, especially in the tricky S's section. There's pretty much 6 corners that alternate from left to right, all the way through from turn 3 to turn 7. And that is a very tricky section if you don't have the flow managed around Suzuka. Neil Kerbel diving into the pits from the lead of the race. Jake Wells is going to stay along, though. He is going to take the lead of the race. The 527 moves into that top spot, but of course still has that mandatory pit stop to serve, as does Kevin Yu in the 95 and Dan Hirsch in the 48 Mercedes. The top 4 still haven't served that mandatory pit stop, but Neil Kerbel and Kevin Yu are in the pit lane serving that mandatory 25-second pit stop now. Daniel Hirsch going long, and Buggy Watt is also going long, currently in 13th place. Oh, and Jace Wright with a fantastic strategy call. He's ahead of Thiago Dinarte after the pit stop. And that means he is going to inherit 2nd place overall. And he is behind now only Chandler Williams for the lead of the race. Fantastic move and strategy call from Jace Wright in the BMW. He did have a slightly shorter pit stop, so he more than likely did not take fresh tires. So that will certainly be a disadvantage for the BMW, but the 23 Audi will be licking his lips about that with fresh rubber and just half the race to go. And Neil Kerbel as well, after that short pit stop, not taking tires, he is gonna be in the net lead of the race. And just how far ahead is he of Chandler Williams? Looks like about 2 to 3 seconds. That's a great advantage for Neil Kerbel in the 395. Good spot there, Tyler. Thiago Dinarte going to continue to battle with the 24 of Jace Wright, getting very squirrely on the exit of the 2nd Degner before approaching the hairpin. And now it's a really tricky corner to get right. You want to maximize your grip, maximize that power you can put down for this pretty long, flat out right-hand curve before Spoon. And it looks like Jace Wright has that covered off pretty well. Daniel Hirsch is in the pit lane to serve his mandatory pit stop. And Jake Finn also in the pits after getting that drive-through, unfortunately, for speeding. Looks like has just parked that Nissan in the garage, and we'll just watch the race from there. Certainly going to support his please brake T1 teammates. Thiago Dinarte in the battle for what might be the final podium position now, depending on where Jake Wells comes out, of course, too. He was right in the mix of things as well. He was even ahead of Jace Wright. So it'll be interesting to see where the McLaren comes out relative to this battling group of cars. Neil Kerbel in the lead, though, in the 395. Chandler Williams, we know he has pace. He's going to try to close that gap. Currently sits in 3rd place. And now, and this battle here is for 4th and 5th place between Jace Wright and Thiago Dinarte. Ross O'Connor has the fastest lap of the race in 6th. Will also be looking to get on the back of this battle here for what might be that final podium position, really depending on the strategy call by Jake Wells. And Jace Wright's gonna run wide in the Dunlop curve. Is this the opportunity that Thiago Dinarte was looking for? Jace Wright still has the inside, and he is gonna maintain it into the 1st Degner, running a little bit wide, and Thiago Dinarte just thinking the better of it. Doesn't want to battle into a really high-speed corner, and now this has really brought in Ross O'Connor in the number 7-1 for the battle, really picking up here for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Jake Wells in the pits, and that will be an absolutely crucial pit stop for him to nail, as he was battling with Jace Wright for the majority. Might come out ahead of this squad and might find himself back in a podium position. So really up to him now to nail it, get it on the marks, turn the engine off as quickly as possible, and let the pit stop crew get to work. The number 13, Potts Weaver, under a yellow flag there. That's at the Dunlop curve on the exit, that uphill, slightly off cambered corner, just catching out the McLaren driver. Thiago Dinarte really applying the pressure. Jace Wright running wide. He's taking the defensive line into the Casio triangle. Thiago Dinarte is going to try the switchback here on the exit. Jace Wright positions the BMW perfectly. The Audi can't use that speed advantage to get by. And now Ross O'Connor, the 714 Mustang, has an absolutely superior top speed advantage here, but he's not close enough to use it into the first corner, and things are looking the same as they are. There's an oversteer moment from Jace Wright opening the inside, and is that going to allow Thiago Dinarte to slip through? It's not, as he has a moment himself, and Ross O'Connor is going to take that position, and the Mustang now slides into 5th place. Thiago Dinarte slipping back into 6th, and Ross O'Connor now gonna try to battle with Jace Wright to take 4th place away. Jake Wells did come out ahead of Chandler Williams in 2nd place. He's drifting through the Degner. Into the gravel he goes, but he's able to keep the car under control and out of the wall, losing the position to Chandler Williams, unfortunately, but he is ahead of the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th behind. So Jake Wells ultimately going long, taking a slightly shorter pit stop, not taking tires, finding himself. Oh, and there's a bit of a tap from Ross O'Connor on Jace Wright. And Jace Wright still keeping the position though. Thiago Dinarte gonna try to capitalize on this. Things are really picking up here in the final 15 minutes of the race. Oh my goodness, the pit stops have brought chaos. Neil Kerbel is going to be absolutely happy in the front, though, with all of this battling going on behind. Thiago Dinarte having a bit of a sniff as well down the inside of Spoon. He was looking to make the move, but he didn't quite have it there. With Chandler Williams now in 2nd, Jake Wells in 3rd. Chandler Williams just has about 5 or 6 laps left to try and do anything about Neil Kerbel in the lead of the race. And there's a drive-through for Sarah Liu. No, unfortunate for the 310 Lexus, having a bit of a quiet race. Unfortunately, picking up a drive-through, and that will certainly cost Sarah a few positions, maybe even drop her out of the top 10. Fortunately, the pit lane at Suzuka isn't too long, so not that time costly there. Jace Wright defending the inside line from Ross O'Connor, not giving the Mustang any advantage here. Jace Wright, of course, on those old tires, looking to maximize as much grip as he possibly can, sliding through the S's. You can really see him struggling, but Ross O'Connor doing the same. He's not able to use that grip advantage to get through here. The exit of the Dunlop curve might prove very tricky. We've seen Jace Wright run wide here once, and is he going to do it again? The Mustang seemingly able to put the power down a lot more efficiently with those fresh, wet Pirelli tires on the car. Thiago Dinarte as well with the fresh tire advantage. Jace Wright just hanging on to 4th place by whatever thread is left in those tires. And he will be hoping that the time ticks as fast as it can. Man, oh man, it's really picking up here. And this battle isn't even for the overall podium now, with Jake Wells electing also not to take tires. He's just ahead. We saw him oversteering into the first Degner, giving the position to Chandler Williams, and he is going to try to run away from this battle. Doesn't want to get drawn in for sure. Wants to run away and take 3rd place. That is where he qualified, dropping back at the start, but now finding himself back in podium contention. So much going on. I need to drink water constantly. Tyler once again sending Neil Kerbel some energy. 2.5-second lead in front. Chandler Williams hoping to change that, but it looks like the speed of the Kerbel race program is pretty good at the front so far. The two Mustangs pretty evenly matched. Chandler Williams about a 10th slower on the last lap even. So Neil Kerbel pulling a bit of a gap, just 10th at a time in the lead of round 5 on this wet and slidey Suzuka track here tonight. 50-minute race almost behind us, 40 minutes gone, 10 minutes left. Who will finish in the top 5? Who will finish in the top 3 even, as anything can happen, especially with the conditions being the way they are here tonight. This is what the wing of the BMW is seeing. The Mustang getting closer and closer to the back of the BMW, almost having a sniff up the inside of the hairpin. And Jace Wright running a little bit deep, just poking, or just opening up the door, I should say, but keeping the speed, keeping the grip advantage, and the flashing from Ross O'Connor. Telling Jace Wright he's right here, and he is really looking to move now into the second part of the spoon curve. He is gonna try to get everything out of that Mustang into the run down to 130R, still flashing the lights away. And is this the run he was looking for? Is he gonna send it around the outside? Not quite. Jace Wright has it covered off, and Ross O'Connor runs a little bit wide. Is this gonna be the move for Thiago Dinarte? He takes the inside defensive line. Can Thiago Dinarte take the over-under move and get the switchback he needs, get the grip out of the final corner, down the back straight, or the main straight I should say, and into turn 1? The Audi, we know, has a great speed advantage in the curves, but the Mustang has that top speed advantage currently in ACC. Able to just pull away at the moment. And Jace Wright will certainly be happy that the cars are battling behind. He does not want to get involved in this battle, certainly, as Jake Wells pulling a little bit away from this 3-car battle. Also now a couple more tenths clear than he was on the previous lap, and just very delicately applying the throttle there. Lots of short shifting going on in the grippy sections as well. Oh, and Chandler Williams dipping a wheel into the grass on the entry. Oh my goodness, he was able to keep it under control and has a great advantage now. Looking to line up a move into the hairpin again. Can Ross O'Connor get the move done? Jace Wright runs deep, opens the inside line. Are they going to run side by side? Jace Wright gets the power down pretty well once again in the BMW, and he is able to keep his 4th place for now. Going into spoon curve, they're closer than they were before. Is this the opportunity for Ross O'Connor to do it? He hits the curb and taps the back of Jace Wright, and Thiago Dinarte is going to tap the back of Ross O'Connor, but he is going to fortunately be able to maintain 6th place. Jace Wright still hangs on to 4th, and Thiago Dinarte, benefiting from that contact, will move his Audi number 23 into 5th place. And with just 6 minutes left, that is all he has left to try and shape up a move on Jace Wright in front to take 4th place away. And Jake Wells getting sent some energy. Awesome to see the support here tonight of all of the fellow drivers in the race. Jake Wells at the front, at the end of the main straight, I should say, just ahead of the battle for 4th and 5th place between Thiago Dinarte and Jace Wright, just trying to pull that advantage out as much as he possibly can. With these 2 cars battling, that's going to slow them down. and he is absolutely benefiting from this. Chandler Williams at the front has closed the gap to within 2 seconds. Maybe that tire advantage is really coming into play here now for Chandler Williams on Neil Kerbel. Jace Wright again running wide in Dunlop. And is this now going to be the move for Thiago Dinarte into Degner? Jace Wright just has the inside. Can he hang on to it? No, he taps the Audi, and he's going to give the position to the number 23, knowing he hit the curb and just bounced into the wheel of the Audi, forcing him to go into the gravel. Good sportsmanship there from Jace Wright, letting Thiago Dinarte through after that little bit of contact into the first Degner corner. Sarah Liu, after the drive-through, finds herself between Professor Chronotis and Dan Hirsch. Those two were battling for the majority of the race before the pit stops, and now Sarah Liu interrupting the battle between the Ferrari and the Mercedes, saying, I want to get involved as well. Chronotis there sliding his Ferrari on the exit of the second Degner, and Sarah Liu will certainly look to benefit and get a position from Daniel Hirsch in front. After serving that drive-through, still finding herself in the top 10, also sitting in 9th at the moment. We'll look to make it 8th with the AMG number 48 just in front of Daniel Hirsch. The gap between the leaders, 1.3 seconds. Chandler Williams is really closing in now. The tread on Neil Kerbel's tires must be hanging on for dear life now, with just about 3 minutes left in the race. It should be 2 laps for the leaders this lap, and then 1 more for them to try to figure out who will take the top step and who will be in second place. Oh, and Daniel Hirsch is looking to take the defensive line now. And the 23, that's Thiago Dinarte. Let's see if we can pick up what happened here. Oh, he just slid on his own, it looked like. Not sure, it didn't seem like there was any contact behind. But going into the S's, the 23 just sliding a little bit there and not able to maintain the position from Ross O'Connor. Daniel Hirsch doing the same, a little bit slidey. Sarah Liu trying to push through, but not push the driver off the track. The 310 Lexus trying to race through in these wet conditions at Suzuka. And it is gonna go down to the wire. This is what the rear wing of Neil Kerbel is seeing. Chandler Williams is certainly approaching. He's getting closer and closer lap by lap. And with just 1 lap to go, there's just 3.6 miles for Chandler Williams to try to take back the lead that he had for a bit of the race. We've had a lot of lead changes, really. It's been a pretty hectic 50-minute race here tonight. But nonetheless, 1 lap to go. Neil Kerbel crossing the line, 18 corners ahead of him, 3.6 miles. Can he hang on to the lead with old tires, or will Chandler Williams benefit from that tire advantage and take the lead away? Only time will tell. Time just ticking away in the race. Chandler Williams knows this is his last attempt to try and take the lead back. Brave call by those going on to, or not switching rubbers, I should say. It looks very treacherous out there with the wet conditions the way they are at the moment. Chandler Williams trying to get through the lead. Can he do it? Oh my goodness, he's sliding into the first Degner and into the second one. He just doesn't quite have the advantage yet, but it looks like that grip is certainly coming into play. Neil Kerbel really defensive, covering off the inside, closing all of the doors. Now just needs to focus on getting the power down into this flat out right-hand corner going down the hill. Approaching Spoon Curve. Just one more time through here. Neil Kerbel needs to nail it. And it looks like he is doing that. A little bit wide, though, in the braking zone of the second part of Spoon. And now Chandler Williams is right on the bumper of Neil Kerbel for the lead of the race. What was going to happen here? 130R for one more time for the leaders. Neil Kerbel taking it well. Chandler Williams lining up a move. Is he going to do it in the braking zone? Casio Triangle, just 2 corners left. Very well taken by Neil Kerbel. He has the inside line. Will he cover it off to the line? The tires are hanging on for dear life, but it looks like Neil Kerbel will hang on to take the win. At Suzuka, the 395 Kerbel race program will take the top step of the podium. Chandler Williams just 2/10 behind. Nothing separating the two Mustangs at the top of the field. Jake Wells able to finish on the podium after also not taking fresh tires. Jace Wright in 4th. Ross O'Connor in 5th with the fastest lap of the race. Thiago Dinarte in 6th. Kevin Yu crossing the line in 7th place. Dr. Porkchop crossing the line as well there in the Jag. The 71 will finish in 12th place. And unfortunately, Sarah Liu dropping back down the order outside the top 10. Professor Chronotis gets by Dan Hirsch going to the line. He will take 8th place. Dan Hirsch in 9th. Brother Kyle Hirsch will finish out the top 10. Sarah Liu not too far off in 11th place in the Lexus. Dr. Porkchop already across the line. Buggy Watt as well in the 410. And just Potts Weaver left to go. The number 13 finishes 14th. Jake Finn will be the last car in 15th after retiring. After that unfortunate pit lane incident saw him get a drive-through penalty. Absolutely wild ride here tonight at Suzuka. Really couldn't predict what was going to happen from the start. Ross O'Connor, absolutely fantastic pace to try to get onto that podium position from the start, but not quite able to maintain it throughout the 50-minute race. And we'd like to invite our podium finishers to join us in the green room here for a quick chat. A couple questions about how their race went on, and they already know the drill. They are in the green room waiting for us. So let's pull them all in.
Doesn't.
How is it going, everybody? Congrats. We're going to do this fun way. We're going to pull everybody in all at once. So congrats, Neil, holding on to the race win from Chandler. Jake Wells also congrats on finishing on the podium. It looks like from the pit stops, Neil and Jake, did you guys take fresh tires?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I was telling Chandler if that race went on one more lap, he would have definitely overtaken me.
Yeah, it seemed like really in those last 2 or 3 laps, the pace kind of dropped off. What was it like from your perspective at the front, Neil?
Sketchy through the S's and through 130R. I was definitely losing the front end in the S's and the rear end in 130R.
Yeah, the wet, especially in those corners, certainly providing a challenge. And Chandler, what was it like from you being able to close down the gap the way you did in the closing stages of the race like that? Certainly that must have gotten your heart a little bit excited to see that gap closing down in the closing stages of the race.
Yeah, that was Neil's doing amazing. Because I was on fresh tires, so I just couldn't believe he was holding off. But yeah, he seemed to. I might have gotten in his head a little bit, but he seemed to bleed some pace there the last couple of laps, and I caught up to him pretty fast. But yeah, he was doing such a great job on old tires when I had new ones. So
yeah, that was really fun to kind of watch that gap. It was right around 3 seconds after the pit stop, and then in the last kind of 2 laps, really, it closed down to within a second. And so really fun to see that pace advantage towards the end. We always say it during the pit stops, like it'll be interesting to see that pace advantage of the rubbers, and we really saw it evident there tonight. Yeah,
his tires were starting to wear off, and but yeah, I definitely caught up to him. But that's only half the battle, right? You got to pass them. It's pretty hard to pass in the wet, and definitely a Mustang. A Mustang is pretty hard. So
yeah, tricky conditions for sure tonight. Lots of rain, and the qualifying seemed a little bit more wet than the race, but nonetheless, a lot of rain coming down. Jake, what was it like for you at the start? A little bit of positions lost, but kept it cool, kept your head down, and got that pit stop strategy under your belt to take third at the end. What was it like at the beginning? Kind of, what was the mentality after dropping a few places?
Yeah, everybody's a lot faster on the straights than me. It was just like I was a sitting duck. I was just driving, like looking to my left, looking to my right. People were just going by me, and I was just getting pulled in the straights. But
Mustang army.
Yeah, it was just the Mustangs were ripping right by me. So this isn't fair. I missed when the McLaren
you were
was
in a
OP.
sea of Mustangs, Jake.
Yeah, and I was like, man, Denarte's doing a great job of holding off the Mustangs, because the Mustangs' straight line speed is just ridiculous at Suzuka. So he did a great job.
Everyone around you were teammates.
Yeah, I know. You guys are all teammates, and yeah, it was rough. But no, it was fun. I was watching the last few races. Laps. I was just watching. I was like, Neil, come on, you don't win. Chandler and all those guys win all the time. You got this, buddy. I was rooting for him, but
I was kind of cheering for him. I was like, dude, stick it. This is your moment.
Yeah.
And he held in there.
They said, yeah, they swarmed me with those Mustangs.
Yeah, it certainly felt like that. There was like, what, 4 Mustangs in the top 6? And then, yeah, there was you, Jake, and the Audi of Tiago. So, yeah, really a sea of Mustangs in the top 5, kind of swarming everybody. But nonetheless, still challenging to drive the Mustang. I mean, we say it's a little bit overpowered, but it's still a challenge to make it go fast, and especially around the wets. So, once again, congrats to you guys for handling the conditions the way you did. Different strategies, calls coming into play. Neil, congrats on the win. Chandler, congrats on second. Jake, congrats on the third place. Thank you guys for joining us in the green room. Or sorry, on the stream, I should say. And yeah.
Thanks for streaming, Kuzia.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, guys. I'm gonna move you guys back. Move you guys back to the green room. And that is round 5 completed here. Super fun, epic race. So much action really throughout the entire top 10. I think only maybe 2 or 3 people had a quiet race, but just because it was quiet, it was still pretty hectic for them, especially dealing with the rain and the wet conditions here at Suzuka. Let's take a quick look at the Trekalicious calendar and see what we have in store for you this week and the coming weeks as well. This Monday, we had a week off from the GT4 rookies in ACC and the GT4 Open as well, but we will be back next week at Snetterton. That calendar is a little bit off, but we will be back at Snetterton for a 20-minute doubleheader for the rookies and a 50-minute race for the Open. Next Level Racing, giving out some prizes in those championships as well. Make sure to check the Discord for the details on those prizes. Tuesdays, we switch it up to Le Mans Ultimate. The second multi-class 60 championship is underway. Algarve and Imola have been completed. Next week will be the classic Fuji layout for a 60-minute race. And that is the multi-class between the hypercars and the GT3s. Next week, we've got Valencia in the GT3 West Coast Championship, starting at 11 Eastern. We've got another 50-minute race ahead. That'll be round 6 at the tight and twisty Valencia track. Switching to iRacing on Thursdays, 8:30 Eastern. It's the mixed GT3 and GT4 championship. Zandvoort completed last week. We'll be going to Portugal to Algarve for a 60-minute race tomorrow in iRacing, before switching it back on Fridays to Le Mans Ultimate. We've got the final race of the Orica Masters Cup Championship around Bahrain, a 60-minute race. And then we will keep you posted on what happens next on Fridays in Le Mans Ultimate. Saturday's day off, apart from the occasional one-off. I do believe we have a family and friends fun swap event coming up in a few weeks' time. Check the Discord for the exact date on that one, and signups will be open on SimGrid for that, and as well as all these other championships. On Sundays, we switch to ACC for the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship. Starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Halfway through that championship, we had a week off for Easter. We'll be picking it right back up with the Green Hell Nordschleife, an 80-minute race for the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship. And the winner of that championship will win an ERS4 Fabric and Sim Aero Mesh seat from Next Level Racing. Lots of fun stuff in the works at Trackalicious. Lots of fun stuff already happening. Make sure to sign up on SimGrid if you are interested in joining in any of those championships we mentioned. Signups are always open. You don't have to join for the whole championship, but we of course encourage you to do so. Thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate the support here, especially this late on a Wednesday evening for wherever you may be joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. We really appreciate once again the support. Thanks to all the new followers for joining us as well. Let's see if we can get a raid going here. We are going to support the lovely Sim Greg. He does some iRacing. Super chill guy. Seen a couple of his streams before. Make sure to stick around for that. Support the love of the sim racing community and all that it has to offer. And once again, thank you for watching. We will catch you all next time.